All right, everybody. Today we're going to start off with Sylas's champion theme, or the login screen as they upload it to YouTube. Let's go ahead and start off with this, and then we're going to do his gameplay spotlight and stuff like that next. So Sylas, I only know a little bit about. By that I mean not very much. I know there's something between Lux and Garen. There's a whole story here. I'll get into it after the theme. So we got a lot of, I don't know if purple, bluish purple, if this is like a theme of his kind of color scheme in the game or anything like that. We're getting piano in this theme. I know there's something about, his name is Sylas the Unshackled. Okay. Why was he shackled? Ooh. This song reminds me of, not reminds me, but it sounds like a tragic song. Sounds like a tragedy has occurred. It's really beautiful though. Oh, but like right now you're getting more like haunting themes, I feel like, in this tragic song. Like, okay, theory is that he doesn't want to be a bad person, but he has to be. I have no idea, though. We're just guessing. Oh, dude, this thing around his neck. Does it really take all this to shackle this man? And I know, doesn't he like swing? Because I play TFT, he like swings out like his shackles as his attack, doesn't he? And then his arm is glowing, so I don't know if he has some sort of magic. Right, because Demacian hates magic, right? I'm assuming Sylas has magic then. Honestly, this is one of my favorites so far, I think. It's just real clean. It like tells a story on its own, I feel like, this music. It's got piano, strings. I'm loving the build-up. Whoa. Whoa, I love the piano here. Everything else went away. Oh, that was so good. Oh my god. Okay, this, I don't remember what I have in my top 3 for themes, but I'm really digging Sylas's theme. Ooh. Oh, it's getting real fast here with the strings. Oh man. Oh, that was crazy good. Oh, that was so good in my opinion. I don't know, it just it tells a story with the music on its own, I feel like. Okay, so we have a couple of things here, and also I want to get into what I know of Sylas in general. The story-wise, I don't know too much about Demacian stuff other than what I've seen from Necrit's videos. But basically, like, Demacian doesn't like magic. Garen and Lux are brother and sister. And Lux and Sylas were like a thing. But then Sylas went full like magic route. And I don't know. There's the whole story there that I don't truly know everything to. And then there is that one music video, right, where it's Sylas storming the castle of Demacian or something like that. I thought that was a very good trailer for that, but it doesn't really tell me the full story and everything, so we need to figure that out by the time this video's over. So I have a few videos here. Maybe we're gonna do the champion spotlight. I do want to do this Magic is Rising stand with Sylas thing, and then the Unshackled champion trailer. So we do the champion trailer, we'll do the champion spotlight, and then we'll do this Magic is Rising afterwards. So let's go ahead and do these 3 videos. All right, let's go ahead and do his champion trailer first.
Justice.
Honor, justice.
Tradition.
Tradition.
All shackles for the ignorant.
Ooh. Okay, maybe he is just a straight up villain. Wow.
15 years in the dark.
15 years. Okay, let's pause. 15 years. Wow. Look at all these shackles. I want to pause it or go back a little bit. So is this like a Demacian prison? I presume. And then what are these? Oh, this is how long he was in here, and he was doing it in a spiral. See the check marks on the ground? That's a very interesting detail. Okay. This is kind of quiet. Let me turn it up.
15 years in the dark.
So 15 years.
I was illuminated.
Illuminated. Yeah, he uses those shackles as his weapon.
I see a world without lords or peasants, where every Demacian is a king, where those who keep us in chains have their power ripped from their grasp.
Dude, I'm kind of in love with this character. I'm only 5 minutes in.
Rise up, brothers and sisters. Whatever they bring, we'll match it. Crush the oppressors. Claim your birthright.
The voice actor is so hype.
Burn their kingdom to the ground. All we need to start the fire is a single spark.
And that's Lux. Right? Dude. Oh my god. Okay. I don't know why, but I'm hype on Sylas right now. I think it's the voice acting is really well done by whoever it is. And obviously, he's a... Say what you will, he's a bad guy, good guy, I don't know. He's, you know what I mean? And I usually don't, villains. Some villains are cool, but some villains are just a-holes. But Sylas seems really cool. Let's go ahead and do his gameplay overview because I want to see his abilities next. All right, let's see his gameplay here.
A prisoner turned revolutionary. Sylas is ready to seize the enemy's power, then break them with it. He's a mage that prefers to beat down opponents up close.
A mage that prefers to beat down opponents.
Strikes and bringing foes to their knees with their own ultimates.
You're part of the
with their own ultimates.
It's time for a revolution.
Okay.
Welcome to the Sylas Champion Spotlight.
All right, I'm excited. It's cool. Very cool, very cool.
Sylas uses his Q to
Chain
lash
lash.
out with his chains, damaging and slowing enemies. After a brief delay, the intersection of the chain lash detonates, applying an increased slow and damaging enemies again.
Oh, that's cool.
The best way
So
to
you can change that.
overpower enemies is with his W, Kingslayer.
Kingslayer.
Sylas lunges at a target with a powerful strike, damaging
What
them
a
and healing himself.
what a cool ability
If the
name,
enemy's at low health,
Kingslayer.
the damage is increased.
Ah.
If Sylas is at low health, the heal is increased. It's
Oh,
an extremely powerful
that's cool.
finishing tool to end any champion's reign.
Very good move.
Sylas
W.
has a two-part E ability.
Abscond, abduct.
With Abscond,
Ooh.
Sylas dashes a short distance and shields himself. For a short time after, he can recast the ability as Abduct to whip out his chains, stunning, damaging, and pulling himself to the first enemy hit.
Huh? How does
Sylas's passive is a whirling chain effect that happens whenever he attacks
Petricite
after using the
burst.
ability, kinda like Sheen. To make the most of this Petricite burst, pummel enemies every chance you get. Link together basic attacks between each spell cast, and Whiplash to rack up the Shack Hills.
Wow, okay.
for the kings to bow.
So like automatically attacks
Sylas
again?
is here for revolution, and he will use his enemies' powers against them, literally. His ultimate hijacks an enemy's ult for his own use, which Sylas can then hold on to and cast exactly as if he were that champion.
Okay. I'm guessing that has to do with the magic that he... I don't know anything about the magic abilities that he can actually do, but I'm assuming that has to do with
While Sylas can take an enemy's
the magic
ultimate
that he can do.
whenever hijack is ready, even if that ability is on cooldown, he has to wait to steal from the same target again. How long before he can hijack them again is roughly determined by their ultimates.
There's a little thing there. Okay.
To light a fire.
Ooh, I
His
like that.
talent for Grand Theft Auto means
So wait a minute. He's probably going to have a lot of interactions because he can hijack other people's ults, that I guarantee he probably has a lot of different voice lines because of that. That's going to be really cool.
Max charges on champs with ammo.
I actually feel cheated.
And completely changes into champions that have a transform ability.
Oh, that's
No
cool.
matter what their ultimate does, Sylas will find a way to use and abuse it.
I mean, in lore, I'm gonna pause again. In lore of like any sort of format of a movie, of a comic book, of fantasy, I don't know, being able to take another person's ability has always just been one of the strongest abilities in anything.
By late game, his low cooldown lets him take multiple ultimates in quick succession, as long as they're from different enemies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Here he snags Rumble's equalizer to even the odds at the Baron pit. Unfortunately, he whiffs on Syndra, but he still gets the last hit to finish her off. He's not done yet, though. With Alistair's ult, the Unshackled becomes the Unbreakable, leaping back into the fight to turn Steer into Steak. Move, chick. Get out the way.
Okay, stop.
Each situation calls for a different strategy. Sometimes it's best to take an ult that helps out your comrades or has a big impact on team fights. Other times you just need a single finishing move like Last Caress to whip a single foe. Gnarly.
Very cool, very cool. Dude, that's so
Sylas's ult
good.
makes him a high jack of all trades. So no
Yeah?
matter what you find yourself up against, if you play smart, you can beat champs with their own game and kick their ass.
I'll give it back.
Oh,
Promise.
ha! That was cool.
With Sylas, no fight plays out the same way twice. While he defaults
I could see
to a
that.
loser play pattern, his ult stealing potential means every skirmish brings something new.
Yeah, that's very
Improvise,
cool.
Adapt and overcome. Make the most of what's available and turn your enemy's power into their demise.
Die with your lords.
If you want a magical bruiser that wins with brain and brawn, join up with Sylas and start an insurrection. For more info on the Unshackled, check out
He's just
the links
walking
below.
across. Oh, who's chasing him? Was that like Cop Vi? What was that? Who is that? Oh, and he stole it. He stole the ability. Why am I hearing? Okay, that was interesting. He seems pretty fun to play. You guys will have to let me know in the comments just if he's a good character to play. I could see maybe like the downsides to his ultimate, like if the other team plays characters that don't give you the best, you know what I mean? Like if they don't give you great ultimates or something, I don't know. Maybe he's not always good in every situation, but Sylas seems like a really cool character. We'll have to find out why he is able to hijack other people's abilities as his ultimate. I'm sure there's something in the lore. So we're going to do this 40-second video that we also have about Rising with Sylas. And then I want to get into the story and the biography and all that stuff so we can learn about his magic and the big story about Demacian and Garen and Lux and all that. So, all right. So this is Magic is Rising, Stand with Sylas. It's only 40 seconds, but it's going to give us some lore, hopefully.
Demacia was not built on a dream. Demacia was built on a lie. All those noble ideals and promises
Sylas as a kid?
of a brighter future, they were never meant for the likes of us.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So, right. Everybody who wields any sort of magic was imprisoned.
We have been stripped of our freedom, our dignity, our very lives. I say no more. Mages of Demacia, the day has come. It's time we fight back.
Oh, what a cool... Okay, so at some point I am going to have to react to, I say have to, but I want to. I want to react to Garen and Lux as well. Hopefully they're not very one note. I feel like Lux might be a little not, I'm hoping Garen isn't one note. You know what I mean? He seems like the noble knight guy who defends Demacia. I'm sure there's some story there, right? But so far he seems very one note. So, I mean, all I'm going to say about this is obviously, okay, it doesn't take a dummy to realize this, but, or it doesn't take a smart person to realize this, but like literally, if you imprison people just because they're a certain thing or a certain way, come on. You know what I mean? It's not going to end well in the future. It's just, there's going to be an uprising. There's going to be some sort of revolution in the future. History repeats itself, right? So let's go ahead and get into his story. We're just like the other videos, guys, we're going to do the biography next. We're going to do the story that's also included on the League of Legends website. I'm going to check out the fandom page for Sylas, which will include the skins. and then some little trivia and relationships at the bottom. And then after that is when we'll do the voice lines and interactions. We'll try to do as much of the voice lines and interactions as I can. Sometimes some of the videos have overlapping stuff in them, so I don't want to like overlap some of the interactions and voice lines. So we try to pick just the best one, which is usually the skin spotlights videos. So you could probably expect that. So let's go ahead and move on to the story and biography next. I'm very excited to learn about Sylas because he got me real hyped in the first 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, everybody, here we are. Sylas the Unshackled. His role is mage. Makes sense. But he's like a in-your-face mage. His quote says, "I am no traitor. I am the true Demacia." Pretty badass. Region is Demacia. Makes sense. And then related champions is Lux. Now, I'm hoping that Sylas isn't such a bad guy that he just like plays Lux, that he actually cares about Lux. Because the idea of the story that I'm getting here is that Lux frees him. Because they care about each other, right? And Lux doesn't want to see Sylas tortured. He was just a kid. Clearly from the last video we just watched, he was a kid and in prison since a kid, unfairly. And then we have Galio. We don't know anything about Galio. He was also in that trailer. He's like I'm assuming he's like a defender of Demacia or something. I don't know what even Galio is. The only thing, again, I know of Galio is teamfight tactics. Let's read the little paragraph we have right here, though. It says, raised in one of Demacia's lesser quarters, Sylas of Dregborn has come to symbolize the darker side of the great city. As a boy, his ability to root out hidden sorcery caught the attention of the notorious mage seekers, who eventually imprisoned him for turning those same powers against them. Wow, okay. Having now broken free, Sylas lives as a hardened revolutionary, using the magic of those around him to destroy the kingdom he once served, and his band of outcast mage followers seem to grow by the day. Yeah, okay. So far I would say we're pretty on with what we think of Sylas' story. Let me scroll down here. So we see a lot of short stories here for Sylas. I wonder if I should be checking these out. Now, I know this one right here titled Lux. This is a physical comic, as well as you can read it online. Maybe it'll be a good idea to go through all the comic sets one day and like upload those videos as a separate thing. I would love to go through all of the comics for League of Legends and read those. But let's just read his biography first. As a mage born to a poor Demacian family, Sylas of Dregborn was perhaps doomed from the start. Despite their low social standing, his parents were firm believers in their country's ideals. So when they discovered their son was afflicted with magical abilities, they convinced him to turn himself into the kingdom's mage seekers. Okay. Noting the boy's curious ability to sense magic, they used Sylas to identify other mages living among the citizenry. That's so messed up, though, you know? For the first time in his life, he felt that he had a future, a life in service to his country, and he performed those duties faithfully. He was proud but lonely, forbidden from associating with anyone but his handlers. Oh, that's so crappy, dude. Of course this guy, you know what I mean? Like, of course. I'm on Sylas' side. I'm sorry. Demacia doesn't sound like the greatest place. Through his work, Sylas began to notice that magic was far more prevalent than Demacia cared to admit. He could sense glimmers of hidden power even among the wealthy and prominent, some of whom were the most outspoken decriers of mages, of course, right? But while the poor were punished for the afflictions, the elite seemed above the law, and this hypocrisy planted the first seeds of doubt in Sylas' mind. Dude, I love Sylas' story. Holy crap. I honestly, going into this Sylas video, I was like, oh, some of the other characters probably are going to be a little bit cooler than Sylas, because they just have magical powers, and they just I've reacted to demons, I've reacted to Darken. Honestly, Sylas' story is really good. So far, anyway. Those doubts finally bloomed in one deadly, fateful event when Sylas and his handlers encountered a mage living and hiding in the countryside. After discovering it was only a young girl, Sylas took pity on her. When he tried to shield the child from the mage seekers, he accidentally brushed against her skin. The girl's magic rushed through Sylas' body, but rather than killing him, it shot forth from his hands in raw, uncontrolled bursts. Oh. It was a talent he did not know he possessed, and it resulted in the deaths of 3 people, including his mage seeker mentor. So it was all by accident that all this stuff happens. Just because he didn't want to see a little girl be imprisoned or murdered or whatever they were doing. Knowing he would be called a murderer, Sylas went on the run and quickly gained notoriety as one of the most dangerous mages in Demacia. Indeed, when the mage seekers found him, they showed no mercy. Though he's still just a youth, Sylas was sentenced to life imprisonment. Wow, okay. He languished in the darkest depths of the Mage Seeker compound, forced to wear heavy shackles of magic dampening petricite. Robbed of his arcane sight, his heart turned as hard as the stone that bound him, and he dreamed of vengeance on all who had put him there. After 15 wretched years, a young volunteer from the Illuminators named Luxana began to visit him. Okay, so she was a young volunteer from the Illuminators. I don't know what that is. Even with his shackles, Sylas recognized her as a singularly powerful mage, and over time, the two forged an unusual and secretive bond. In exchange for Sylas's knowledge of the control of magic, Lux educated him about the world outside his cell and brought him whatever books he desired. Okay, very cool. Eventually, through careful manipulation, he convinced the girl to smuggle a forbidden tome into his cell, the original writings of the great sculptor Durand, detailing his work with petricite. So he manipulated Lux, which kind of sucks. I thought it was going to be like I don't know. I thought it was going to be better. We'll see. The work revealed the secrets of the stone to Sylas. It was the foundation of Demacia's defenses against harmful sorcery, but he came to see that it did not suppress magic, but absorb it. The powers held within the petricite, Sylas wondered, could he release it? All he needed was a source of magic, a source like Lux. But she never visited Sylas again. Her family, the immensely powerful Crown Guards, had learned of their contact and were furious that Lux had broken the law to help this vile criminal. Without explanation, it was arranged for Sylas to be executed. Whoa! They're like, we can't have any issues. Well, they were, okay, this is probably the one smart thing that they were doing. Is they were like, okay, Sylas is going to be a problem, we need to kill him. But clearly that doesn't happen. On the scaffold, Lux pleaded for her friend's life, but her cries fell on deaf ears. As the headsman pushed past her to raise his sword, Sylas managed to touch Lux. As he had predicted, her power surged into the petricite shackles, ready for him to unleash. And with that stolen magic, Sylas blasted his way free, sparing only the terrified young Crown Guard. He left the Mage Seeker compound not as an outcast, but as a new defiant symbol of the broken and persecuted in Demacia. While traveling the kingdom in secret, he amassed a following of exiled mages. However, perhaps he always knew that even their combined power would not be enough to succeed in toppling the throne, which is why with a band of his closest followers and several hardy oxen, Sylas eventually journeyed over the northern mountains to the frozen tundra of Freljord. Okay, so he's over there now. There he seeks new allies in the great elemental magic of ancient legend, so that he might turn to Demacia and demolish the oppressive system that has made him and his fellow mages suffer for so long. Very cool. So that's where we are with Sylas's story. The music video that we saw with Sylas storming with all his army of mages, so they lose that, right? It's not enough to eventually take over because it's Garen, Lux, and Galio and all them fighting Sylas. So they leave that battle, though. He knew it wasn't going to be enough. So now he's in Freljord looking to gain more knowledge about the elemental magic of ancient legend. Very cool. So I'm assuming he's going to have run-ins with some people in Freljord that we know of, some of the heroes that live up there. You know what? We haven't really, actually, that just literally reminds me, I don't think we've reacted to any Freljordian heroes yet. We haven't really been suggested it, I guess, by some of you in the comments. So, I mean, that obviously includes like Lysandra, Ashe, Braum, you know, some of them. Riven, I guess, technically. I need to learn Riven's story. There's some stuff there with Riven's story that's a little interesting that I don't know everything. She seems like she has a lot of interactions with a lot of people and a lot of interactions like in voice line trailers. She seems to be in a lot of them. So we got to figure out Riven. But let's continue with Sylas's story. It's called The Recruit. Oh, it has the same background as the video that we watched. So this is probably going to be about him recruiting people for the battle. We'll find out. The sun was at its peak, just high enough to illuminate the exiles' camp hidden deep in the canyon. From the shade of his lean-to, Sylas of Dregborn waited patiently for his scout to return. At last, he saw her rounding the stone spire at the mouth of the crevasse, leading a wide-eyed young stranger into the camp. "This is Hap," said the scout. "He wants to join." Sylas emerged from his shelter, eyeing the youth casually. Does he now? "I know him from the underground. The Seekers took his family. He made it out by the hair on his hide." Sylas nodded, quietly assessing the young man. He could sense the boy was blessed with powerful magic, some black and deadly pall. As for the rest of his character, Sylas could see nothing. "He's a good kid," assured the scout, "and he's from Dregborn." "Yeah, so where's Dregborn? I don't know where that is." Sylas's brow furrowed with pleasant surprise, as if meeting kin he never knew existed. The youth stammered out an introduction. I thought maybe I could join your cause, sir." The entire camp of outlaws laughed. The boy's eyes darted around the grinning faces, searching for some hint of what he had done wrong. You know what it is? Sylas is going to see himself as a young kid in this new recruit. That's my guess. "There's no sir here," chuckled Sylas, "unless you want to address every one of us that way." "Yes, sir." "Yes," the youth said, nearly repeating his mistake. Abashed, the recruit seemed to wonder if he'd made the right choice in coming to the camp. Sylas placed a heavily shackled arm on the boy's shoulder, hoping to quell his embarrassment. "Be at ease, Hap. No one will judge you here. We're a long way from Dregborn." He felt the youth relax his posture. "I know your struggle. They're always watching you, bounding you, making you feel inferior. Well, there's none of that here. Here you belong." Hap beamed, staring at his feet as though he felt unworthy of his newfound joy. Do you know why I wear these chains? Asked Sylas. The recruit shook his head. Actually, I don't know. Too timid to offer a guess. They're not just weapons, they're a reminder of where we come from, of everything we're capable of, and our liberation to come. Are you with me? Yes. Yes, I want to be liberated. Good, said Sylas. Tonight you will break your own chains. That's so cool. Okay. Dusk was falling, and the darkened brush on the side of the road was the perfect cover for an ambush. There, Sylas lay in wait with a dozen of his most trusted mages. Beside him, the recruit nervously picked at his fingernails. Don't worry, said Sylas with a reassuring smile. I was nervous for my first one. After a while, it becomes as natural as breathing. Before the recruit's nerves could be assuaged, the thunder of hooves, wagon wheels rumbled in the distance like a coming storm. Within seconds, the carriage came barreling down the road before the lurking hijackers. Okay, so they're just gonna hijack some like weapons and supplies, I'm assuming. An instant before the horses arrived, Sylas signaled to his comrades and the ambush began. With a flick of his wrist, a scruffy old mage summoned a thick cord of iron vines that snapped across the road, catching the galloping horses at the knees. The racket was deafening. As the steeds fell neck first into the dirt, the carriage careening over them. The mages sprang from the cover, subduing the dazed crew of the carriage with various weapons and spells. Sylas leapt atop the overturned coach, eager to seize the passengers of the unprotected cabin. Let's go, recruit, he called to Hap, beckoning for the lad to join him. Hap scampered atop the cabin and began to help pry the door. It cracked open, revealing a very battered nobleman. Sylas's eyes flashed with a malicious gleam. Well, look who's kneeling now, my lord, said Sylas, extending his hand. Okay, well, they're attacking a nobleman, never mind. The nobleman bristled. Though he was gravely injured, his hatred for Sylas remained intact. I'll not cower before the likes of you. So he's had a run-in with this nobleman, probably when he was imprisoned or younger or something. Good, said Sylas, because I wouldn't want you to miss this. In minutes, all the nobleman's guards and coachmen were lined up beside the coach, beside the road with their hands bound. Sylas paced the line, individually acknowledging each captive. I ache for you all, I do, said Sylas. You are merely cogs in their wheel. Sylas paused, his tone shifting harshly as he gestured to the bound nobleman. But you chose to serve them, and thus serve their cause. He turned to his band of outcasts, loudly offering a question. Brothers and sisters, these folk work in the service of swine. What does that make them? Swine, replied the outcast. Should we allow them to go free? No, yelled the mages. What if they have a change of heart? Promise never to bother us again, asked Sylas, with a coy smile creeping across the corners of his mouth. They'd be lying, yelled the scruffy old mage from the brush. They can't be trusted, said another in the gang. Then what is to be done with them? Asked Sylas. They must die, shouted a young mage, his hatred beyond his years. Others yelled out in agreement until the phrase echoed across the land. Swine must die. Sylas nodded as if he were slowly being persuaded by their words. So it must be. He's a good leader, clearly. He's recruited a big army of people here. Softly, Sylas touched the shoulder of his recruit. His petricite shackles began to fume with a dark smoke. He closed his eyes, savoring the captured power. The sight sent a quake of dread through the captives. Many fell to their knees and wept, pleading to be spared. Only the nobleman stood proud, defying his circumstances, as Sylas addressed his crew with somber finality. It pains me that I cannot show you the beautiful world to come. The words sent a chill through the recruit. Sylas, no, Hap protested. These are just people. Ignoring the pleas, Sylas extended his arms and fingers and unleashed the magic stored in his gauntlets. A thick black cloud billowed from his fingers and collected above the heads of the nobleman's crew. Almost in unison, they began to claw at their throats in suffocation. Moments later, they fell to the ground dead. Oh, interesting. What did he do there? A grave hush fell over the mages. Having dutifully observed the execution, the nobleman wept silently, tears streaming over his clenched lips. The only sound came from the recruit. No, why? Said Hap, falling to his knees. Sylas eased the boy back to his feet, consoling him with a fatherly hand. Hap, you wanted to help our cause. This is it. This is our liberation. He gently guided the recruit toward the nobleman and urged him forward, one dead lord at a time. Hap looked at the nobleman through tear-filled eyes. He held out a trembling hand, preparing to take the life before him. Then he let his arm go limp. I can't. Sylas's tender patience began to slip away. This man is not your friend. His fortune is built on your suffering. He would sooner see you hang than show you any kindness. The recruit would not budge. At last the nobleman found his voice. You're a monster, he said, his voice breaking. Yes, replied Sylas. That's what your kind said when you locked me in the dark. So that's what he became. I mean, that's literally what happened. You guys made him into a monster. Sylas held forth his hand, its shackles still faintly glowing. The magic he had taken from Hap mustered one last wisp of blackness. The small dark cloud enveloped the nobleman's face, drawing the breath from his lungs. As the man writhed, Sylas looked back at the recruit, not in anger, but mourning. I'm sorry, Hap, but you are not ready to be liberated. Go, return to your chains. That's cool. Sylas watches Hap turn to leave, his eyes averted in shame. The recruit looked down at the wrecked carriage in front of him and the long dirt road that wound back to the capital. Sylas could almost feel the boy thinking, dreading the misery that awaited him in his old life. Hap bent down, pried a dagger from the hand of the dead coachman, and returned to the nobleman, still struggling for breath on the ground. I'm ready. As the youth raised the dagger above the nobleman, Sylas's sorrow turned to unmitigated joy. No matter how many he liberated, it always made him smile. Wow. Very cool. That was a good story. You know what this makes me want, though? Is for there to be multiple League of Legends TV shows like Arcane. Like, I would love to have, I don't know what you'd call it, I guess. But essentially, I would love to have this story in the Arcane style as a TV show. I think it could be really well done. I'm like already picturing, them showing Sylas as a kid growing up and then him being in prison and all that. I think it'd be a really good story to do. And unfortunately, I don't think it'll ever happen. But maybe eventually in the future, we won't just stay in Piltover and Zaun. But as of now, I don't think they should venture out of Piltover and Zaun in the Arcane show. I think it needs to be very more focused, because if they go too big, I think it could probably ruin the writing and ruin the show. But anyways, about the story, seems like Sylas is a good leader. He's pretty ruthless. He's turned into a monster because of what they've done to him. I'm not saying he's right in killing these people, I guess you can say, but I guess I get it. Because I'm sure the noblemen of Demacia aren't the best people. But killing is killing. So anyways, I think this was a good story just to show his leadership and show his recruitment style, I guess. And we're gonna learn more. We didn't learn about his actual magic ability other than he can apparently. So obviously he's using the Petricite shackles, which absorbs magic, and he's like using it. He's like using the Petricite shackles as a means to expel his magic, I guess. And then I guess he can create some sort of black smoke to choke people out. That's kind of interesting. I'm surprised we don't have that as some sort of maybe ability in League of Legends. But let's go ahead and go to his fandom page. I'm very curious to check out the skins that they have for him. I want to see if they do anything with the shackles, something cool with the shackles. Or let's see if there's any other trivia and things like that we can learn from Sylas. All right, everybody, here we are on the Sylas fandom wiki. Now, I know last time for, I believe it was Urgot, we actually missed the page that had a little bit more info. But let's first go onto this page and check out the skins. So I always tend to like the original skins, honestly. And this one looks really good in my opinion. So we have Lunar Wraith. Wait, does he have the super sharp hands like that? No. So Lunar Wraith gives him these super sharp claws, I guess you could call it. That's pretty cool looking. Okay, and then we have Freljord Sylas. So obviously we know in the story that he goes to Freljord. He looks like he's from Assassin's Creed with the hood. It's very Assassin's Creed-like, right? And then is he actually wielding some sort of magic that he's learned from Freljord? Is he just is it just blue for the aesthetic? That's really cool. Let me read the little thing here for Freljord, because maybe we'll get a little bit more lore. Free from the kingdom that once imprisoned him, Sylas of Dragonborn marches from Demacia to the Freljord. With every step he takes, he remembers what others have branded him. Mage, traitor, Kingslayer, names he revels in as he endures the bitter cold. His heart warmed by the fires of rebellion. It will be here in the icy north that he will seize the ancient power needed to fuel his revolution. Okay, so it's again just reiterating that he went to Freljord to gain more power. So we have the Project Sylas. Honestly, I'm usually a fan of the Project ones. I think some of them haven't been so hot lately. I think it's maybe his face. They kind of made him look weird here. I do like the chains, how it's basically a projection or of a hologram kind of his chains. It's pretty cool. But I think everything else I'm kind of about. Okay, and then there's a yellow version. Okay. You know what? Battle Wolf. I think I've seen this. Wolf Team from Anima Squad. The reason why I may have seen this is from TFT. I just feel like I've seen Sylas with these cat ears. Maybe I've seen it in a promo or something. That one's okay. So far, I think it's Lunar Wraith. Or no, I think it's the Freljord and the original. And then the last one is Ashen Slayer. Okay, he's he's a astral ghost kind of looking in this one. It's kind of like a Halloween aesthetic. I like it. But I think, yeah, Freljord and the original are my fave. Let's go down here. Is there anything in this little trivia section? No. He's the first champion to have an animation when he cancels his recall. And he was the first champion released in 2019. So he's not that old. I mean, I'm recording this as of 2023. So I guess the reason... I can't believe I have to say 2019 was 4 years ago. That's wild to me. Okay, so here is the Sylas character page for the Fandom Wiki. Now, it looks like this paragraph here is something that we already read in the biography, so we don't need to read that. But what about the background? Oh, wow. Okay, so we have early life, imprisonment, the birth of the revolution. Is there anything new in here? Let's go ahead and start reading and find out. Sylas of Dragonborn was born in Demacia, where he developed magical abilities at a young age. As per the typical Demacian belief that magic was an affliction, Sylas's parents convinced him to turn himself into the Mage Seekers. Okay. The Mage Seekers took notice of Sylas's ability to sense the magic within people, so they used his power to identify the mages within the city, and we know that. But Sylas began to notice the prominence of mages living their lives as civilians, having to live with being labeled as criminals by Demacian society, which caused him to doubt his standing within Demacia. Okay. One day, Sylas and his mage seeker handlers found a young mage girl, yeah, we know about this, forced to live in hiding to avoid persecution. Sylas took pity on her due to being so young, so he tried to protect her from his handlers, but he accidentally brushed against her skin, causing Sylas to fire her lightning magic uncontrollably, resulting in the deaths of the girl as well as 2 mage seekers. Sylas tried to evade the law, but he was labeled as the most dangerous mage alive, and when he was caught, he was sentenced to imprisonment for life. Okay, so cool. With his hands chained by petricite shackles, Sylas was imprisoned in a Mage Seeker compound for 15 years, growing disillusioned and vengeful towards the kingdom and seeking its downfall. One day, Lexana, Crown Guard of the Crown Guard House, found him in the compound and sympathized with him for his plight, with both soon forming a steady bond. While Lux visited Sylas to teach him about the world outside his cell and gave him books to read, in exchange he taught her how to control her magic. One of the books Sylas received was Galio's Blueprint by Durand, where he learned about the true properties of petricite and how it did not nullify magic, but accumulate it until it reached its breaking point. All he needed to do now was touch Lux to absorb her magic into shackles and break free. Okay, so yeah, all of this we understand. It's written a little bit differently, so I'm just trying to see if there's anything new in here. Eventually, the Crown Guards found out about Lux's meeting with Sylas, so he sentenced to public execution by sword. Lux intervened by telling the crowd by advocating for Sylas's rights, but he touched her and unleashed a powerful blast of Lux's magic, killing everyone on scene except Lux. I don't think I knew that. Okay. That's kind of not cool. He killed a bunch of innocent people. Anyways, okay. Let's see. The birth of the revolution. So, freed from the authorities, Sylas used his powers to destroy the Mage Seeker compound and free the imprisoned mages to start a revolution against Demacia for the persecution of mages. He led them to the royal castle to capture King Jarvan III. This is the card from Runeterra. So, we have Jarvan IV. Yeah. So, wait. He led them to the royal castle to capture King Jarvan III and publicly humiliate him, but to his surprise, the king had already been killed before he arrived. His son, Prince Jarvan IV, which we know of in League, or TFT, I haven't done a video on him yet, but we will eventually, blamed Sylas and the mages for causing the death of his father, while Sylas decided to humiliate him instead. Sylas tied Jarvan IV to a chair and forced him to eat a rat to reflect the terrible conditions experienced by the prisoners of the compound. But Lux came to stop him, with her magic suppressed after drinking a petricite mixture. She shot a crossbow at Sylas and stabbed him in the foot before releasing Jarvan IV. Wow. Okay. Definitely did not get that in the previous, in the biography or the story. So I don't think I knew that there was a relation between Jarvan IV. So wait, King Jarvan III was king of Demacia, and then Jarvan IV was the prince, but he was already killed. It says, but to his surprise, the king had already been killed before he arrived. Who did that? Wait, it says Prince blames. Yeah, wait, who killed King Jarvan III? It does not mention it here. That's interesting. Tell me in the comments who kills King Jarvan III, or just leave, like, if it's something that I'm going to learn in the future or something, maybe don't spoil it for me. I don't know. That's interesting. The Dauntless Guard arrived in time, led by Lux's brother Garen Crownguard. Lux warned Garen to avoid letting Sylas touch his Petricite armaments, so Garen grabbed an axe to strike him. Sylas counterattacked Garen by absorbing the magic of one of his downed allies, but Jarvan IV put him at a chokehold to avenge his father. Sylas was outnumbered by the Demacian army, so he told his allies to retreat into the sewers to escape Demacia. As he began to leave, Lux tried to warn the mages not to follow him, but he told them that there was no need to worry about her because she wouldn't hurt an innocent. Due to Jarvan IV blaming Sylas' revolution for the death of King Jarvan III, he enforced a zero-tolerance policy towards magic in Demacia, causing innocent mages in Demacia to be sentenced to merciless treatment by the Mage Seekers. Out of depression, some mages planned to leave Demacia to migrate to Sylas' camp so they would be safe. Wow. Okay, I'm glad we read this. We got a little bit more in-depth, like a lot more in-depth, like significant interactions between the characters. So the Shackles of Belief, this is an article. I don't know what that is. That might be one of the comics or something. I'm not sure. And then the Warriors. Yeah, okay. So the Warrior cinematic. So Sylas teamed up with the Winter's Claw. Who are the Winter's Claw? I think we can take a look at this real fast. Oh, it's the Freljordians. Okay. Champions of the Winter's Claw. Okay. So he teams up with the Winter's Claw to fight against Garen and his sister Lux, as well as other Demacian soldiers. Sylas and his allies were defeated after Lux summoned Galio, which we don't know anything about. So she summoned Galio. Okay, so that's what happens in that video. Okay, right. Very interesting. Okay, I might have to rewatch that video again now that I have all this new information, right? That's really cool. So let's read this. So we have personality. Sylas is a ruthless, determined rebel who opposes Demacia's unfair persecution of mages regardless of their intentions. When he was younger, he initially wanted to protect his fellow mages from being harmed by his mage seeker associates, but after the incident which got him imprisoned, Sylas grew to resent the kingdom after 15 years of imprisonment. After being freed, he took on the role of a martyr for his fellow mages, inspiring them to join his rebellion. His current goal is to raze Demacia to the ground with no prospect of the aftermath. Yeah. Okay. Yep. That's pretty much his personality. Abilities. Okay, magic born. Sylas was born with a natural magic ability which can grow the more he trains and expands his knowledge about magic. Magic sensing. Sylas is able to sense magic, an ability first discovered at a young age. The mage seekers used Sylas' sensing ability to search for other mages. And then magic copying. Yes, we know that because of his ultimate. Sylas has the ability to absorb magic from touch and use those powers for himself. It first manifested when Sylas accidentally touched a young girl with lightning magic, resulting in him killing several people with the copied magic. Later on, he developed control over his copying, being able to store magic for a period before using the power he stored under his new volition. Okay, very cool. Okay, so now we have the actual relations, and maybe it'll be a little bit more in-depth. It looks like we have at least a couple of sentences on everybody. And there's some stuff down here on Galio. Interesting. So Sylas was abducted. So this is relation to the Mage Seekers. Sylas was abducted by the Mage Seekers at a very young age and had his magic detection abilities used to find and capture other mages after an incident. Okay, we don't need to read that paragraph. So Lux. Sylas formed a bond with Lux while he was imprisoned. In exchange for information of the outside world, he would teach her to control her magic due to magic being outlawed in Demacia. He later manipulated her and used her power to escape. So it's kind of like a thing where Lux does owe Sylas a lot for teaching her how to control her magic, but at the same time, I'm sure she could have learned it from maybe somebody else or something like that. And the fact that Sylas manipulated her, like, there's no way, like, they can be, you know what I mean? There's no way there's going to be any friendship there or anything anymore. Like, he completely ruined it, at least, unless there's something maybe in the comic. I know there's that Lux comic that goes through this stuff a little bit more that I may have missed, but you guys will have to let me know. So Garen Crownguard, after escaping his execution, Sylas and his followers fought Garen. He would best him in every fight they had, only retreating when Garen's reinforcements arrived. So Garen has lost every single time to Sylas. And then I know the whole interesting thing here of, like, Garen is, you know, all about non-magic as well. And his sister, being Luxana, has magic. I don't know how that's working. So I want to know actually a little bit about Lux in terms of, like, being allowed in Demacia. I thought they were clearly very anti-magic, but Lux clearly used it or has used it openly, kind of. But is she getting, like, some special leeway because is she royalty, or I don't know, you know what I mean? So now we have Jarvan IV Light Shield. Last name Lightshield? Okay. After escaping his execution, Sylas and his followers almost executed Jarvan IV before fleeing. He had intended to execute Jarvan III, but then found out that the king was already mysteriously dead in the chamber he and his guard retinue had retreated to. So I want to know who the hell killed Jarvan III. Okay, anyway, Winter's Claw. Sylas would form an alliance with the Winter's Claw, who later helps him attack Demacia. I'll have to watch the video again because I didn't realize it was Winter's Claw in the video. And then Galio. Okay, so Sylas encountered Galio, who came to aid Lux, Garen, and other Demacian soldiers during this attack on Demacia from the north. Lux got Durin's original text, which include Galio's design specs for Sylas to read. On the mention of the Colossus, she states that she knows him as if speaking of a person and not as a statue. She had befriended him when she was 13. Sylas clearly found her wording odd, but occupied with the text, did not question her about it, apparently not realizing that Durin's wording on Galio meant that absorbing magic allows him to move on his own. Sylas's own shackles were originally built by Durin, who also designed Galio to restrain powerful demons like Tom, Kench, and Evelyn. Oh, wow, that's cool. The fact that the shackles that were built by Durin were originally meant to restrain Tom, Kench, and Evelyn, or just demons. So that's really interesting that we got. We don't truly know what Galio is, but it sounds like he is a living statue that can be summoned. Again, I'm gonna react to every League of Legends character at some point, but yeah, okay. I guess that's what Galio is. Kale and Morgana. So Sylas knows certain truths about the Winged Sisters and calls out their power during the events of the Lux comics. Okay, so down here, so we did read the Unshackled biography. These are stories that are starring Sylas, Demacian Heart, Lux issue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stand with Sylas video, which I believe we did watch. The Recruit, I think. The Shackles of Belief. Is that the short story we read? It is. And then the Warriors music video, the Unshackled video we did watch. Okay, so we have some trivia down here. Let's go through these. Sylas has no last name due to his family being on the lower end of the social spectrum. To be differentiated among others with the same name, they often refer to his name and the place of birth, so Sylas of Drugborn. Sylas was previously part of the Mage Seekers, a branch of the Demacian military that arrested magic users, but it was arrested himself after killing 3 people when he accidentally stole a young mage's magic. We know this. Sylas was always torn between his desire to be a true Demacian and his shame for identifying his fellow mages while in service to the Mage Seekers. Sylas is around his early 30s. Despite hating current Demacia, he has no love for Noxus as well. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, there hasn't been any mention of any other place. It's all Demacia and Sylas. No mention of any other parts of the world. But clearly he has no love for Noxus. Even though he'd probably technically be welcomed there, I guess. Narratively, Sylas does not transform when stealing another user's magic. It is done mainly for gameplay clarity. Okay. He can siphon magic off the original user and use it for a time, but the victim will recover and his stolen magic will deplete. Okay. His biography originally stated that his execution was to be hung by the neck, but was changed to a beheading after Lux issue 3. Oh, interesting. Maybe just being hung by... I mean, what's worse? I feel like being hung, I guess. Beheading's kind of... I don't know. They're both pretty bad. Sylas's shackles were never intended for a human, and using them on a mage like Sylas is overkill. Right, because they were meant for a demon? That's why they're so big and cause him to suffer so much, but also what makes them a fearsome weapon in his hands. They are made of petricite, Demacian steel, and gold. The scar on his abdomen is the result of an operation trying to remove his magic organ. There was a short-lived theory that mages had a magic organ somewhere below the liver. What? That's such a cool story for a scar, honestly. But okay. Sylas dresses like a prisoner due to being previously incarcerated, but continues to do so in order to appeal to the downtrodden masses. Fair enough. I just thought he just didn't change his clothes. I don't know. Sylas's chains are a symbol of the oppressed. Yep. On his right arm is the brand that mage seekers burn into the skin of mages. The other pulsing lines on his arms are intended to be magic pulsing through his veins out into the manacles as they constantly drain his natural magic. Interesting. Sylas has anarcho-collectivist political views. Like a lot of revolutionaries, he's better at tearing down and has not thought much in the way of practical policy, what a non-hierarchical system would look like on a large scale. That's fair. Like he doesn't have any plans after just taking down, you know what I mean, the system. After starting the revolution in Demacia, he is now seeking the ancient Freljordian magic, presumably that of the old gods, like Volibear, which we've reacted to. Go check it out. Anivia, we have not checked out yet, and Ornn, which we have also checked out, and is developing an alliance with the Winter's Claw to help with his cause. That's very cool. So not only was he getting help from the Winter's Claw, he's actually specifically looking into the ancient magic up there, like Volibear, Anivia, and Ornn. Okay. Volibear would probably be all about it. Ornn, not so much. Anivia, we have no idea. Anivia is probably like the neutral child or something, right? Of the Freljordian gods. Okay, this was a really good thing that I need to check out on the future videos. We got a lot more info from this wiki than I thought we would. Even just in the trivia and even up here in the relations and the personality and everything. So guys, let's go ahead and do the video on the voice lines and X and the interactions, because I know that's what you guys are interested in the most. Let's go ahead. All right, everybody, here we are. It's another Skin Spotlight special interactions for Sylas. So let's go ahead and get into it. It's only about 11 minutes here.
Your secret is safe with me, Luxana.
This is Lux.
Remember that kindness.
Your secret is safe with me. We're talking about her being a magic user or a mage, right? But then in the Warriors video, right? Like, she straight up uses it out in the open. And is that like her revealing? Is that what's happening in the Warriors video? Is that her finally revealing that she has a magic? Okay, anyways.
At last, I've come for you, Jarrow Lightfeather.
Jarrow Lightfeather. You know, okay, we have not reacted to Ezreal yet. Nobody's actually commented it either as a suggestion, but I feel like a crap ton of people have interactions with this dude. And I've used him in TFT.
Well, well, Fiora.
Okay.
Aren't you the very portrait of privilege?
I'm surprised she hasn't appeared in the Sylas story whatsoever.
How much will the Laurent name be worth when your house is burned to the ground?
Fair.
You traveled across the world to die for someone else's king. Pathetic.
This has to do with Jarvan, I imagine there. Okay.
Oh,
Galio?
look. A walking monument to ignorance.
Huh. Okay.
Idols are made to be desecrated, Galio.
That's a good one.
The wondrous Galio.
The wondrous.
Yes. I've read all about you.
Yeah, in the book. Yeah.
Garen. First to die for the ruling class.
Him and
Hello,
Garen have to have a
Crown
lot,
God.
I imagine.
Remember me.
So I want to know, we haven't reacted to Garen, but like, does Garen have a lot of hate in his heart for magic users? He has to, right? I believe I've been told that even by some of you in comments, that Garen like really hates magic users. But I feel like we need to get a deep dive into Garen first to understand why. Or I mean, maybe he was just always told that way and grew up knowing that magic is bad, right?
Villainy never knows itself. Eh, Garen?
Okay. Yeah.
I'll
Jarvan?
give you
Here
a
we go.
head start, little princeling.
I don't think Jarvan looks like that anymore. I could be wrong. though.
Jarvan, where shall I hang your royal corpse?
Dang, that's a little savage though, Sylas.
Bad news, your highness. It's time to end your bloodline.
I always thought Jarvan was like Ionian, not Demacian.
Do
Jinx.
what thou wilt, Jinx.
First
Every
encounter
light
Lux?
casts a shadow, Luxana.
He speaks different to her.
Noxian
Like different
swine,
tone.
Demacian swine.
Oh,
They'll all end up at the slaughter.
there we go, knowing that he doesn't really care about Noxus.
I
either.
wonder, is
Poppy?
that hammer meant for me? You've been to
Prisoner.
prison. You know how this goes.
Ah, another person that's been shackled. Okay. Quinn?
Soar through the clouds, bird girl.
Bird
But
girl?
the earth quakes beneath you.
Oh, that was an epic quote that I don't understand. Because
Ah.
I don't know Quinn.
You're holding something magical,
Yeah.
aren't you, Rune Mage?
Okay. Sona?
Discord is the best chord, Sona.
Okay.
Do your walls keep others out, or you in?
Do we consider Talia, is she a mage? Is what she actually does. She seems very unique from everybody else. She's like an earthbender or whatever, right? I don't know if is she technically a mage, or I wonder where her powers come from. We'll have to dive into her character.
You raise walls, I destroy them. Let's see who prevails.
Yeah, she seems like she's also pretty powerful compared to some other people.
I had to eat rats in prison.
Oh.
Suppose I could do it again. The Vastaya have suffered much, but get in my way and you'll suffer more.
Okay, so he doesn't really hate Vastaya.
Do not mourn your parents, Vayne. They had it coming.
Ooh, I don't know what that one means.
I've done my time, Yasuo. Prepare to do yours.
Okay. Zed?
Shadows are for cowards, Zed.
Whoa. I feel like everybody always makes fun of Zed's shadows. Always.
And that's how we slaughter swine.
Pretty savage, yep. Jarvan?
That's going to leave a power vacuum.
What? Somebody will have to tell me what that one means.
I am sorry, little light.
Okay, yeah, that's her nickname. Yeah, see, you notice his tone's a little different with her, right? Because he feels bad for her, right? Kill an enemy with their own ult. What does he say?
Doesn't it?
Urgot's ult is insane. I'm glad that they're showing Urgot's.
A fitting sentence. Oh, the irony. Well, that was satisfying.
You guys will have to let me know, like, some of the major people that he
A powerful curse indeed.
Steals ults from. Like some of the people that he usually you usually want to steal an ult from, I guess.
I think I found your bear.
That's a cool one. That's a really cool one.
This'll send them running.
Okay. What is his ult? Okay. Bran.
Time to watch it burn.
What's Bran's ult? Shoots a big fireball. Okay. Fiddlesticks.
A murder of crows. You know, for murder.
Okay. We didn't actually dive into Fiddlestick's ability, so we don't really know any of them, unfortunately.
Blue blood.
Blue blood. I wonder where Fiora fits in all of this story. She isn't mentioned, like I said.
The entrance I deserve.
Stealing Galio's ult. Oh, the entrance he deserves because Galio comes from the skies. That's cool.
Guard.
Surrender your sword so he can use it.
I've got your justice.
Very cool. I like that he has lines for all of these, stealing all these ults.
Might is wasted on the mighty.
Okay.
We'll bring the cataclysm home.
I feel like Sylas' story can't end it can't end happily. You know what I mean? It's got to be like pretty tragic.
A crown for everyone.
I kind of hope they continue the story at some point because it seems like it's just stopped. Kale?
Sanctimonious.
Sanctimonious. We need to do Kale and Morgana, I know.
To light a fire.
At some point.
Your spark is wasted, girl.
He's used her spark before, right? So to kill all those people
good, little light.
Before he was about to be executed. Still ult monster.
They always said I was a monster.
Okay. What other monsters are there? Okay, still ult Morgana.
For everyone.
Oh, is that because of her ability? Her ult ability? Interesting. Okay.
Such magic should never be bound.
Yeah, and Kale and Morgana are one of the more powerful magic people, right?
I'm just a convict with a hammer.
Haha. Oh, that's so cool.
This rebellion just got wings.
Oh, what is Quinn's ult? Whoa. That's interesting. Yeah, we don't know anything about Quinn, I'll be honest.
Now, let's see what's on that scroll.
We know a tiny bit about Ryze. Okay. Sona.
Let me speak for you,
Sona.
Fortissimo!
Fortissimo.
Support
champs.
for the cause.
There you go. I forget her name.
Well,
Sylas?
this is going to be confusing.
Wait. Sylas uses ult he stole. Oh, that's interesting.
I feel so toxic.
I know there's a lot of Teemo fans out there. At least when he originally came out.
Time to jail the jailers.
Oh, that's a cool ult. I do want to learn more about Thresh.
I'm great at doing time.
Time-based champions. What other time-based champions are there? Try
Now
hard
it is
champs.
I who tries hard.
Try hard champs. There are try hard champs?
The winds blow in my favor.
Yeah. I almost want to play League of Legends
I'm
so
no
I can hear
stranger to shadows.
interactions. It's honestly the only reason I'd want to play. It's funny.
I guess I can work with this.
Steal any lame ult. Who is this and what ult is that?
I actually feel cheated.
What
Better than
character is
nothing.
this? Okay.
That's all you've got.
It's funny that they actually know it's a lame ult. Like the devs are making an interaction about the ult being
What do you
lame.
do with this?
Sure.
Yeah,
Why
I have
not?
no idea what character that is. What?
Let's level the playing field.
Okay, Katarina. Just any ult.
What's yours is mine. Call it redistribution of magic.
Yeah, a lot of his lines, which are interesting, are the ones that are basically like, so he's doing. It's a combination of him having an interaction about another person's ult, but then he also relates it to his revolution. You know what I mean?
I'll give it back. Promise. I'll make good use of this.
Right. Like for example, that I guess. Right.
Give it up.
I mean, obviously it's just for any old use, but
Rightfully mine. Share and share alike.
share and share it alike.
Magic cannot be caged.
Cool.
Let's see what you're made of.
You would also think. So I'm gonna go into lore. I guess I'll do it at the end of the video because we're almost done.
Smash the throne!
I'll bring it up in a
Ugh,
second.
that was worse than wizard prison.
Wizard prison? Joke response? Oh, that's it?
So,
All right,
who
first
wants
move.
to kill the king?
The Great Mage Rebellion starts now.
Okay.
See the remnants of my bondage, and know you can be free.
It's very interesting that he literally made his shackles into
Breaking
his
out was
weapons.
nothing.
And it's also supposed
Watch
to
me break a kingdom.
represent something. You know what I mean? It's very cool.
Look at all those good little cogs, unaware of the wheel they turn.
Yeah.
Those who wait to be freed do not deserve freedom. Onwards, brothers and sisters! This place has potential. Let's tear it all down.
Yeah. So hold on. Okay. So that's perfect. So the last quote here is kind of like what is said in the trivia on the wiki that we were reading. I mean, what's Sylas' end goal? He just wants to raise all of Demacia, right? But then what? You know what I mean? It's the old story. It's not the old story. It's the telltale story of like the person wanting revenge, but then once they get their revenge, then what? You know what I mean? Like they don't have any other. It's not gonna fill the hole that they have of wanting revenge or vengeance on somebody or something. Sylas is very much so that character, and also the fact that, like the whole hate against magic users, it kind of seems like it's only in Demacia. So if he goes somewhere else, like in Noxus, obviously he hates Noxus, but you know what I mean? Like magic is like everywhere else in Runeterra. So it's really just Demacia that his kind is hated, but he's like really just honing in on it. The thing I was gonna bring up earlier is just like how it's very interesting that magic, and maybe I'm wrong, but like again, magic is really just kind of hated and unwanted in all of Demacia. But like in Piltover and Zaun, we have, I guess, Hex Tech. I don't know how magic is really seen in Piltover and Zaun. I don't know if they care as much. I have no idea. Noxus, again, I think Noxus has been known as one of the more welcoming places. Ionia clearly has magic. You know what I mean? It's just very much Sylas is honed in on Demacia, and I get it, right? That's where he's born, or I guess he lived there and he was brought up and raised there, and they like used him. So I get his revenge. Oh, I also just noticed I see the little tattoo on his arm here about, you know, that's what they brand mages with or whatever. Anyways, yeah, so a lot of these interactions, let's get into the voice line specifically. So I did notice whenever he had an interaction with Lux, you notice the tone was different. And I encourage you guys to listen to it for yourself if you need to. But yeah, you would notice his tone is different with Luxana. He doesn't hate her. And it's obviously because she's another magic user. And maybe he actually feels bad that he's used her. Like, I'm sure he does have some sort of remorse or empathy for Luxana. But she is technically an enemy, right? She's on the Demacian side. She summoned Galio to protect Demacia. But, you know, like with Garen or Fiora or Galio, especially Garen and Galio and Jarvan, he's very much like, his tone is very hateful. I thought they did a really good job, the voice actor, as well as just the interactions were really good in general. I thought it's cool. Again, I want to mention that it's cool that he could steal ults, and then he has interactions with all of these people that he steals interactions with. And they all make sense to the character. There's a few I don't understand, like the Galio one. The Amumu one I didn't understand because he's cursed. The Annie one, stuff like that. But yeah, there's a few we don't understand yet. I did not realize Jarvan. So is Jarvan the 4th going to become king of Demacia now that Jarvan the 3rd is no longer king? Or has he not taken the crown? I'm very interested in knowing that story, but I guess we'll get to Jarvan the 4th and Garen and Luxana. We got to do all the other Demacian people. We haven't done anybody in Demacia. So like me interacting to Sylas has opened up a lot more of like stuff I want to interact to, obviously, because that's what's happened with a lot of these characters. Like I reacted to Urgot, and then I was like, okay, well, I want to react to Camille and other people from Zaun and stuff like that. So that happens all the time with all the people. You guys, let me know in the comments anything else I may have missed. So let me just think if there's anything else I can think of to ask you guys about Sylas. Again, it looks like his story has stopped with him wanting to grab like the ancient magic or learn ancient magic or powers from Freljord. And then his attack in, I think that the Warriors video came out in 2020, right? That failed. It failed. And that's where we are with the story. I feel like you guys could tell me if I'm wrong or not, but they seem kind of slow when I mean, they have so many characters. I understand. But I feel like Riot needs a full-on team working on specifically lore. Because it seems like some stuff is moving kind of slow story-wise. Like, there's a lot of stories that just probably haven't progressed, and I think I've heard it voiced by either Necrit or by some of you guys in the comments that you guys are kind of frustrated with how slow like lore is and how lore isn't really progressing in some cases. But you guys let me know what your thoughts are on League of Legends lore and how fast it progresses, and if it's been like kind of slower as of late, or what the deal is with that. Or maybe it's just me going through all the lore and learning all this lore so quickly that I'm like, I want more, and I do. So guys, let me know what you guys think of Sylas. Let me know how good he is. I always like to ask this. Let me know how good he is in the game. If his ultimate thing where he steals other people's ultimate is really even that good, or if it's kind of just crappy and cheap. I know there's been other kinds of things like that in other video games, and those kind of characters are usually just okay. And then in terms of Sylas on the power level scale, he's probably kind of on the lower end, right? It seems like he just steals magic from other people and uses it, but he just has the Petrosite shackles, and that's kind of his biggest, hoorah. Like, there's other people that have a lot more significant powers than him. So yeah, that's it for the video, guys. I really appreciate if you would like the video. It helps other people see it in the algorithm. And please subscribe to the channel because we have a lot more videos to react to, and we have a lot of other videos you can check out. So thanks, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.